We're talking about Tata Consumer, and Alex is joining us for more on the editor's cut. That's definitely one that there were a lot of stories doing the round, and then we finally got the details on that, Alex.
No, certainly. And if the stock price is anything to go by, Tamanna, then there was some buzz that there was a large deal in the offing, because just in the first couple of weeks of 2024, the stock is up about 7%. But let's delve a little deeper into the story as we normally do on the editor's cut, and Sajeet is joining in to break down some of those numbers for you. Essentially, what the deal is that Tata Consumer Products is set to acquire 75% in Capital Foods and take that up to 100% over a period of time, 100% in Organic India. The enterprise value of those two entities about 7,000 crore rupees. The question is, how do they fund it? What are the implications for the immediate financials? And when does it turn accretive for Tata Consumer? How does it fit into the overall business? I've hopefully laid out this conversation for you. Right. Let's start with the financials. What are the immediate implications? One would assume that they would have to raise to complete these deals.
So, to begin with, let's start off with the kind of acquisition price they have paid. 7,000 crores for two acquisitions, 5,100 crores enterprise value on a no debt, no cash basis. Basically, 5,500 crores they are paying in cash for the entire Capital Foods, which gives them an foothold into the pantry business, where Nestle is a market leader there, and so they will be able to compete with them going forward. Interestingly, Nestle was also in free, but the majority owners of Capital Foods were private equity, General Atlantic and Invest, and they paid a premium. 6.8 times FY24 earnings seems to be a premium paid for this entry into this segment where they are not present at the moment. They must have paid around 1,000 to 1,500 crores more. And I'm saying that because I saw a valuation report of Capital Foods for FY22. They had valued the company at enterprise value of equity value of 3,800 crores. Okay. So, and at that time they had projected revenues of over 1,000 crores in FY24. They haven't been able to hit 24 revenue targets, 1,000 crores. It's around 750 odd crores which they have hit. Or they are estimating to it, and the margins are around 15.5% or so. So they have paid a premium for Capital Foods going, but it's an entry into a pantry segment which is expected to grow at more than 20%. But that's a hope, because they're saying that Capital Foods had nearly 40,000 outlets, yes. And Tata Consumer has 4 million, so it's a 10x distribution channel which is opening up for Capital Foods, and that's why they will be able to push more into it. But it needs to be seen how they're going to do it. Yeah. Organic India is again a play between domestic and overseas. They have 40% revenues coming from exports. Tata Consumer is trying to play an allied field and trying to enter a pharmacy chain or pharmacy a segment, which is very difficult for any FMCG company to enter, because if you look at HUL, when the GSK merger happened, it was estimated that they would be able to push through a lot of their HUL products there, but it's not happening. It's not easy to go through the pharmacy channel because of the licenses and everything which comes into play, which is there. So there also they have paid nearly 5.2 times the revenue, but it's a niche segment where they can get push the entire thing into for an overseas market like a Europe or US, where Tata Consumer has a bigger distribution chain which is there. So from a valuation perspective, yeah, they have paid a premium and been aggressive in getting into it. Last time we saw that happening was Tetley acquisition, where they were so aggressively bidding for it. So this seemed to be an aggressive acquisition from that point of view. Now let's set it up into the kind of they have to pay immediately around 35-50 crores for Capital Foods, which is 75% of the valuation, and 1,900 crores for Organic India. That's more than almost 6,000 crores they have to raise. The raising is
6,000 crores they have to raise, but I believe they have some 2,500 crore on cash.
They have 2,500 crores cash as of FY23, yeah. But you need to look into the point of view from dividend paying, because they paid 8.5 rupees per share. Okay. So some 800 odd crores went out from there. So they are generating more than around 1,500 crores in cash every year, but they still have to raise 5,000 crores in debt and equity. Now, my sense is that it will be through a bridge financing or through CDs and NCDs for next 1 year. They're going to raise around 3,000 to 4,000 odd crores from there. Subsequently, the board is meeting on 19th for fundraising, future fundraising in equity, and it's going to be a rights issue where the promoter is going to, Tata Sons is going to participate and underwrite the entire thing if required. And then that would take around 18 months for a rights issue to happen because there are 18-month period by when you have to pay the entire amount. So there is this 1 year short-term loans which are going to come into the books of Tata Consumer, and subsequently that will be replaced by equity which is raised through the rights issue.
Sure. Okay. So you've laid out the valuations. You've laid out how they're going to finance the deal. In all probability, that's going to mean more debt on their books for now, which will convert into equity down the road. The last aspect, of course, is when does this turn accretive? I believe that 1,100 crore of top line is going to be added to Tata Consumer by both these entities. Is that correct?
That's right. So let's assume that they're going to go aggressive and they're going to grow at 20% per annum. They have not been growing at 20% per annum, but let's assume that if they grow at 20% per annum, we are looking at around 1,500 crores of top line coming in, margins of around 15 to 20%, which will come in there, which will be around 150, 200 odd crores of EBITDA margins coming into play, and 200 crores comes to the at a 25% tax rate. It will come to around 150 odd crores coming to the PAT, which is there. But the issue is that they are going to raise short-term capital.
It's going to be costly.
It's going to be not costly for a Tata company. It's 8% odd because Tata Power and all other are raising at 8%. I assume that they will also get a similar one, 8.5%, which is there, which basically means that there's a short-term interest cost of 200 to 400 crores, which will be in the FY25 P&L.
Speaking of fundraising, while we're on the subject, we have Tata Consumer, which has gained about 50% in the last 12 months. A lot of companies are using this opportunity in the markets to raise funds through issues, not just QIPs, but FPOs also on the cards. Is that something that could be considered at some point?
I don't think FPO would be on the cards. I think it would be more of a rights issue where the promoter retains because Tata promoters have nearly 34% odd. So FPO would dilute the promoter stake. So to retain that 34%, I think it will be a rights issue, and if there is any unsubscribed portion, that will be underwritten by the promoter, so that allows the promoter to increase stake further going forward. So that's one way to look at it, and the fundraise is going to take around 18 months, whether you like it or not. Means 12 to 18 months is that, and FY25 numbers are going to be impacted in the short term, especially while profitability may remain the same. Because
the margins will shrink.
The margins will shrink a little bit. There is a P&L impact of the interest cost which is going to come in, and because there is a rights issue which could be as much as it's a 1 lakh crore odd company, which could be 4 to 5% equity dilution which will happen. There could be a EPS dilution which comes in, and so the EPS accretion happens only by FY26, 27. And Tata Consumer is already trading at a premium, it's around 50, 55, 60 times forward earnings which is there. So the premium is going to go up, and there could be a short-term impact on the price if in that sense.
All right, so thanks Sajeet for laying all of that out, and hopefully we've given you some perspective before the start of trade.